Park. What a great day. And to the greatest Rotary Club in the universe. We have an invocation. Who's on that? Anybody, Sheena?
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Carol's got it.
Please bless this day for us.
Our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for the opportunity of being together as Rotarians and guests. We are grateful for the blessings that are ours, particularly for this community in which we live. Particularly thank Thee for this Memorial Week and the opportunity of appreciating those who have gone before us, and particularly those who have given their lives on our behalf. Thank Thee for the food, and pray that Thou might bless it to our bodies, and that we might have good fellowship and do so in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Thank you, Carol. Flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test to see, do we have it up? Now we got to really remember this, huh? Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
You guys get a name. How about a song? Who's got
Okay, I have some song sheets on the table, you all should know. You're a grand old friend. Okay, got it. Ready? You're
a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true under red, white, and blue, where there's never a post or break. But all acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag.
All right, you may be seated. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today?
Pat.
We do have one.
He just walked in.
We got Pat Grenfell. Welcome, Pat.
Pat.
Any other visiting Rotarians? How about guests of Rotarians? Becky.
My niece Tessa Ross with me today. She's graduating next week from Burlington and Skagit Valley College.
All right.
Any other guests? All right, we're on to announcements. Becky, you're up for an announcement.
North Curtis, they have a service for him. It's really going to be a potluck at Lawson's house on Saxton Road, and we'll get an email out. It's going to be June 22nd at 2 o'clock.
June
And you're all
22nd.
welcome to come, but they wanted a count. So once the email goes out, you can let me know. I'll let the family know.
Okay, thanks, Becky. All right, June 22nd. Oh, I'm going to be in California. Okay, any other announcements? I'd just like to make an announcement. I think this is a great place to meet, and we should do it at least once a year. And I think it maybe in June would be a little bit warmer. Although we got pretty lucky today. All right, we are not going to have a wheel today, so we'll do maybe extended sergeant at arms. Who is that, Louis? All right, Louis, come on up.
So this came upon me real quick, like, because Dan was going to do it. But can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Well, since we're meeting down here at Riverfront Park in the nice sunshine, and like President said, we should be here more often than this. But you know, it's nice that we are here all winter long. Those of you that went south for the winter, raise your hand. Those that went to Arizona and south. Come on, Brian. Any others? Okay, that'll cost you $1. And if you're wearing shorts and you come from Arizona, that'll be another $1, Brian. Okay, how many of you noticed Riverfront Park memorabilia up here? Did anybody take a close look at it?
Yep.
What year did we start building this park? How about How about John Veteran? You know what year we started building the park?
I have no clue.
That's about. Okay. When did we finish and dedicate the park? When was it dedicated? I'll give you a clue. It's 3 years later. Okay, I think everybody ought to be happy to be down at Riverfront Park. Everybody got out $1. And
Who's picking up with you?
I'm going to have all the, you're a money man, pick up some money. And over here, how about, Mike? You pick up some money out here.
I need some change all day.
What do you need?
$4.
We'll see about that. I'm not sure why you need
Now, there's one other thing that we need to talk about. And there was a critique on Tuesday about the auction. How many of you went to the critique? Wow. Did you guys say anything? Have anything constructive?
Absolutely. Of course we did.
Oh, good. Because if you complained, it would cost you. If it was if it was something like a good suggestion, who had a good suggestion?
You know,
Carl?
I'll pay $1 for this.
I have yet to hear one legitimate, real criticism from the auction. It was literally, I think, the best one we've ever had. We have some things we'd like to maybe improve, but if you got a complaint, I'm still waiting to hear it.
Okay, Carl, well, I got one. Is Rich here? Wiry? I understand he may have been the culprit. Well, you know, you're supposed to bid things up, and every once in a while when that happens, you wind up with it. Well, I did. And I understand it came from, I won't mention the name again, but my only criticism is it had been used in his garage already. The pressure gauge was broke, and the attachments were good. So I think that who's ever going to be Sergeant at Arms next week, if he's there, we need to get him for that. Okay, let's have some happy dollars.
Louis? So I'm going to challenge you on the date because when this thing started, because I got a quick story. Everyone knows this was a garbage dump, right? It was very effective. It was recycling. We dump it here, and then it goes in the river, and it went down the river. You know, cycle of life right there. Rats ate all the stuff that wasn't that didn't fall apart. So it was good. We shot the rats. We shot rats, and we, you know, anyway. So it was vacant for a long time, and so the briars were about 20 feet up in the air. And Louis must have said, hey, I need to survey this, but I can't get into it. So I believe in 1980, when I got back from college, Dad said, you got to go in here and you got to level all those briars. And here's the bulldozer. So I don't know if we have a permit, but we came out here. Well, we had Hugh Ridgway that could get us out of any trouble, so we were good there. So that's how you do things in the old days. But so I started plowing this thing. I couldn't see. I mean, literally, the briars were above me. Things were below me that I didn't know what was there. Every once in a while, I would just fall about 10 feet. Because who knows what I was going over. And I don't think I had a dust mask or anything. Who knows what I was breathing. But anyway, I turned it all up. And then about over here, I started running into buildings. I mean, there was like homeless people or something. There was people living inside the briars. There was things, and I was like, there's like a whole village over there. I mowed it all down. Anyway, so we got it all level, and then I think you guys came in and surveyed it and to determine where we were going to do stuff. But I believe it was before 1981. That's my thing. There you go. And I'll give you some happy bucks for that because I survived.
Now that was a $10 speech.
I got a 5. In typical fashion, the weird crap that happens after midnight in Sedro Woolley. We had a shooting downtown in Sedro Woolley. I don't know if you guys heard about this last night. Had a fight in one of the later night establishments. I'm not going to name the older service, but happened outside, right on the street, and somebody got into a fight in the bar and carried out into the street. And thanks to expert marksmanship, nothing got hit, but somebody's car. And the only person that got injured was the guy that was shooting, ran off and shot himself. He's not hurt badly or anything. He's sitting in jail wondering what the hell happened last night. But my crew went out and did a great job and handled it. And I got one call at about 4 o'clock this morning. I didn't even hear my phone ring. So they handled everything, and it was so nice to have a good, hard-working crew. And I think that was Cairo or Como called me, and I don't answer them anyway. So this is for my crew.
Okay, I got a happy 5. One is for our very own Sedro Woolley PD that we had to call on the other day, and you guys showed up in like, what, 3 minutes? Oh my God, real quick. Anyways, and then the rest, I have a cat that has adopted me that needs a home. And I know I've posted this on Facebook. He is the sweetest 10-year-old yellow tabby ever, and great indoor cat. So if anybody is looking for an old friend, please let me know. Oh, Marty was willing to take him, but he's definitely an indoor kitty. So.
Bill. Yeah, I have a follow-up on John Janicki's beginning of this park. I was here too, that's how old I am. And we were Stan Jan, who was excavating this specific area so that we could build this building, and he ran into a couple cars. And I guess like all the Janickis, they take a D8 and crush it and bury it. So they're right under there. They must be part of their family.
Was there anybody in them? We didn't look.
Hang on, Mike.
Couple things. I have happy 5. First, David, the ceremony that you put on at Country Meadows is really lovely. I was able to attend it last Friday. I just want to say kudos. It was really beautiful, so thank you for that. Thank you for including me in that. And the second one has to do with this Wednesday, the 5th, June 5th. There at 2 o'clock, we're going to have our groundbreaking ceremony for the library. Just want to encourage you all to come if you can. We're pretty excited about it. It's a new venture for Sedro Woolley. So thank you.
I got $20 because I got more memories in this area here than you can imagine from like when we were kids. We'd come down here and shoot rats and throw them in the river and see if we could get something to eat them. But this area, when I just stand right here, I think of all the Rotarians that have worked on that project over there, this one, these, this, that. Everything here, Rotary had a lot to do with, and I just think that we are truly the greatest Rotary club in the universe, and we're looking at it right here.
This is just a $5 bill to have Daryl burn this tape instead of putting it on.
And I have a happy $5. Julia, thank you so much for coming out to our Memorial Day commemoration. Sharon Dillon was also there. It's tradition we start Memorial Day weekend on a Friday with a remembrance for everyone, and your remarks were really great. There's a quiz that I saw the other day on the internet about things about Memorial Day, and I knew all of them because of you, and we thank you. Thank you.
Louis. Anybody? Louis. We got plenty of time today, so if you got something to say, today's the day.
Well, yesterday I made one of those, those decisions that you make when you get a little older. I decided to clean my gutters, and I climbed up the ladder and struggled around for about 5 minutes, and climbed back down and decided, I don't need to do this shit, and so I hired someone to do it for me.
I have some happy bucks for all of the great programs that are available to Rotarians, Kiwanians, and anybody else in Skagit County that needs a program. For all of the great projects that are going on. Of course, we include the Sedro Woolley Rotary service projects, but there are just a lot of wonderful things happening in Skagit County. And then the gentleman that handed me the microphone has a pretty cool t-shirt on and hat. So go Dogs!
Yeah, it's going to cost me more.
That program includes today's program because it's a wonderful one. You'll be enlightened with it.
Okay, it's at least 5. I have an explanation to make on top of what Phil said and Mike and John said about this place. When I was starting out in business, John Ward, bless his heart, came to me, and actually him and Hugh Ridgway both came to me and said, we want you to be on the Riverfront Park Committee. Well, I don't even know if we had a name by then, but they said, we want you to be there because we want you to be involved. So we met at the Gateway every Thursday morning for about 2 years. And I got a free breakfast out of it, which was nice. But one of the things about this place, Phil, to add to your story, was that when I was asked to come down here and kind of look at what was going on when the hole was dug, they were going to start filling it in, and there were some things down there. There were some weird things down there too, no bodies. But it was the Job Corps that was going to pour the slab, and I said, no, you're not going to pour the slab until we take that stuff out of here. So they brought an excavator in and went down even more. Oh, it went down about 15, 20 feet here. And they took out not only the car body stuff, but bed springs, the full washing machines, and you name it, and hauled off a whole dump truck or more full of stuff. And I'm glad we did that because I don't think this thing would have been in the same shape it is today. Is that right, Carl? Right. Anyway, and then the other interesting thing that happened was from the standpoint of permits. In the Department of Ecology, I met the guy out here when we were starting excavation. And if you look down here, you see how nice and flat it is down there? And you look up here and see how high it is and nice and flat? Well, that's a Janicki operation for sure. But the permit process was a little loose. And I'm glad it was. So we had the river here. And if you go float down the river, sometimes you see things in the bank that shouldn't be there. They're still there, sticking out. But what happened, and to make a long story short, was after 6 months of moving dirt around here and making sure this was above the floodplain, the DOE called up and said, we're coming to make an inspection. Well, they called up John and they called up Ridgway, and so they sent me down here to meet him. And I was standing over there somewhere out on that ledge out there, and the DOE guy drove up. And I remembered him from the last time because he had a wooden leg. And he drug it like that. And he gets out of his car. Now remember, he hadn't been here for 6 months. Because he knew what it looked like. And he had the map that we had made, the topo map. He gets out of his car and he looks up at me and I wave at him. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what's he going to do now? Guess what he did? He walked back to his car, opened the door, and looked at me and goes, got in his car and drove away and never saw me. Anybody else with a happy button?
I have a happy $5. most of you know this, but maybe newer members don't. That flag is a dedication to my first wife, and this is the first Rotary Club I've ever been to with both my wives. And so I'm thankful for that. It's a real blessing, and it's a little bit of a joke, but at the same time it's very serious. And may she rest in peace. That was Janice, my first wife. So happy to share my first Rotary meeting with Julia and Janice. Anyway. Anybody else?
Mike Crawford and I were working on that other building, and we knew about the 20-foot dig that they had to do in this one. So we designed a floating slab. We didn't dig at all. We just capped it with a bunch of rebar and concrete, and it seemed to work. It's not sinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there had a lot of rebar in it. But anyway, so that's a completely different design there. It's called Float on Garbage.
Yeah. How about a round of applause for our barbecue extraordinaire? The Lone Star in Concrete. Make sure you go visit them when you get up that way. All right. It is time for early leavers, so if you really want to leave this glorious place, I guess now's the time. And it's also time to introduce our program. So today we have a fun program. We've got Kate Anderson here with the Skagit Children's Museum. And I warned her that we wouldn't have a very good PowerPoint thing, and she came prepared. She's got lots of visual aids, so welcome, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me here today, and what a glorious venue to have a lunch meeting. So, how many people here have been to the Children's Museum in any one of our 3 locations? Okay, so most people. Who's been in the newest one? Anyone? Besides Pat Grenfell, who was just there last night. Pat is on our relocation committee. So she was there for a hard hat evening event till late last night. Yes. Great. So the Children's Museum has been in operation about 15 and a half years. We started out in 4,000 square feet in downtown Mount Vernon. And Mike Crawford, I remember you getting a tour with Tracy Levine, who's the co-founder of the museum and still on the board. So all of you dedicated people that stick in there with these organizations, it's wonderful. And we were there until from 2003 to the end of 2007. And then we made a move to the Cascade Mall because of a $200,000 federal HUD grant that we had to use. And we weren't able to use it because of the status of the floodplain in downtown Mount Vernon. So we needed to, and the building we were in had just sold. So about that time, the Cascade Mall approached us and offered us more space for the low price of $1 every 7 years, which seemed like a good deal for rent. So we relocated there, and we moved to 6,000 square feet. And then in 2015, we expanded, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but a few stores have closed here and there, particularly inside the Cascade Mall, sadly. So there was space beside us where the Sears Home store had been. So we expanded 3,000 square feet, which enabled us to add in a lot of larger gross motor activities to get kids moving more, and it turned out to be a wonderful opportunity for us. And then we were told just about 2 years ago, the mall property, as most of you probably know, sold to Merlone Geyer Corporation, who I believe I've heard is now the largest landowner in Skagit County. They own quite a few of the, they own the Hagans, they own where Mod Pizza is, and they own a lot of other land in addition to the Cascade Mall and where Target is, that strip mall and such. So anyway, they are going to be redeveloping at some time, and what we knew is originally that we needed to find a home right around this beginning of this year. So thankfully, it worked out very well with the outlet shops at Burlington, and they've been delighted to have us. So we signed a lease, and then it kept showing up, this 4th space. So we signed a lease originally with 3 spaces, which was wonderful. So that was about 12,200 square feet. But it kept showing up, and there was this one last space between us and the Gap store in the lease. And then they came back to us and said, you know, could you use that space? I said, yes. So we picked up another 3,100 square feet in November. But now, since we have stores on either side, we're done. We can't expand any further. So we are really excited. We are open in about 8,400 square feet. And in the magic booklets that I brought, it shows it further back. Oh yes, would you be my band? That'd be awesome. So right now, we are open from here over. So that's the 8,400 square feet. So these exhibits, the art studio, the reading area, the celebration room, our preschool classroom, that is all permanent exhibit space. This is going to be a new flex space. That's that fourth space we added on. And it's about 3,100 square feet. We're going to be using that for, again, gross motor activities and such, along with event space. We have movie nights sometimes where we will have 200 people attend. And we did a movie, A Plastic Ocean. One of our staff, her aunt from Great Britain, actually did that film. And so some of the high schools in the area were sending kids there for extra credit. So we do some cool things like that with kids of an older age group, and adults were interested in that. And then it will also be a space that can be rented out by the community. And then this is what's under construction right now. So it's a 7,000 square foot area. We have a new truck that we are about to announce. I am able to say Packard did donate this new truck, so it's wonderful. However, if anyone wants the old semi-truck, we're raffling it off. Yes, $5 a ticket, it could be in your house. Yes, or at your house. It's a great deal. It'd be the coolest playhouse ever. Yes. So anyway, we are excited about that. This, the boat, I don't know if many of you, we have a 21-foot real tugboat. So if it was taken out of the Cascade Mall, they had to demo the whole front of it and remove all those 500-pound panels of glass to take those large exhibits out. So that happened at the beginning of May, and the truck is down in, or the boat is down in Kent. These guys are always really funny about it. They say, you know, we've been in this business our whole lives. We have never seen wear and tear on any boat in the places and the way this boat, you know. So that's we estimate now we've had over 750,000 people through the museum since we've been open. So it gets a lot of wear and tear. And then the crane that has long been a part of the museum, it went back to now Barnhart crane, where it's being repainted and fixed, and again, it gets a lot of use. So we're excited to see that coming back. And then we also have these community lane exhibits, which are going to just be awesome. So the bank that's in there, it's going to have a working ATM, and so it's a great opportunity for kids to get an early experience. And one of the things that children's museums do best is they give kids that experience that they can take out and make more sense in the world. Thank you. You've done a marvelous job. And before we go any farther, part of the reason I brought these props is I am so grateful to you, worked with David Bricka, towards the sponsorship of a complete rehaul of the toddler area, which is one of our busiest. We serve birth to ages 10 or 12, primarily. And after that, it becomes, you know, a great volunteer experience for students and for adults as well. We're a job training site. Anyway, so I wanted to bring you, that's the exhibit signage. It will be going over into our new location, into our toddler farmyard there. But I also just wanted to bring some of the things, the tables and chairs. And they're so sweet and they're so tiny, and sometimes the kids look, you know, small on them. So it's a wonderful thing to be impacting kids at that early age. And one of the other things that I have that we were able to do is to produce this signage. We have somebody that's a pediatric occupational therapist, and she's been helpful in us choosing exhibits and activities that are going to be really useful to kids from birth on up. So this talks about how to, says consider these tips if you want to position your baby to enjoy tummy time. So it's all of these things, and it's amazing to me how often I see parents and grandparents and caregivers foster parents, all of that in the museum looking at these things. Something else that we have is that it's a serpentine that's raised off the ground about 5 inches. And she said that was one of the best things we could get because kids walking on that, it's a pre-literacy as well as balance and movement because it helps kids to begin to shift things back and forth in their brains. And it's interesting to watch them. So, and more climbing structures and things where they have to use their upper body because kids are not gaining enough upper body strength for literacy, for writing, for all of those things. So we're being really intentional, which is one of the most exciting things to me, is that we continue to move forward in making it not just a really fun place, because it's fun, and it's fun for adults too. We've had a couple of epic adult parties there over the years, but it's trying to help parents and caregivers as their first and best teacher continue on in that in an even better way. So what we do is we see about 60,000 visitors per year. Last year we saw about 64,000. And so we're open for admissions. We're open 7 days a week. We're closed, I think, 4 days this year. So we're pretty much open every day. And we started a preschool. In fact, today was the last day for our Tuesday-Thursday class. This is our 6th year, and it's been wonderful. We already have kids on a waiting list for the 2021-22 school year. We filled up right away for this following year. So it's really interesting to see how that's growing, and we're getting siblings from our earlier classes. I'm a Montessori teacher by training, so I was in the classroom, a million years ago. And so it's really fun to see how our program has grown. And I think at some point we'll probably add an afternoon class. Right now the kids come from 9 to 12, and the first hour they have the whole museum to themselves, which is awesome. And if you change anything, those kids come in the next morning, they're like, whoa, 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 like nobody talked to us about this. So if we switch exhibits, it's really fun to see them. And we have music and yoga that's a part of our classroom, which is really fun too. And I wish when I was in the classroom, we would have had that because yoga teaches so much self-control over the body and over the, how to calm yourself and such. So it's fun to see it happen with the kids. And then we have music for every classroom as well. So that's been great. We've also expanded in our scholarship program, which has been something that we add on to all of the time. One of the things that's been really interesting over the last year and a half or so are the number of supervised visitations that take place in the museum. We can have 6 or 7 in a day. And there are people coming now from Whatcom County, from northern Snohomish County, because it's a great place for an authentic play experience. And it's safe, and it's, we're kind of the Switzerland of, we serve everybody and anybody, so it's wonderful. We have kids that are on the scholarship program for camps, for classes throughout the year in our preschool. We host birthday parties for kids that are in homeless shelters or functionally homeless, where we'll provide cake and ice cream and all of that. And try and be very respectful to the parents. Early on, I had a parent say, thank you so much for these gifts because I wasn't able to get my child anything. So now we just get a gift bag ready and we have a card ready. So if the parent wants them to be from them, then that's wonderful. But we serve certainly all of Skagit County and beyond with that program. It's been a wonderful partnership with about 35 different social service agencies. And I think one of the other really neat things that's going to take place in this facility, one of my other roles is I chair the Children's Council of Skagit County, which is schools, school districts, hospitals, anybody that has a stake in early learning, the health department, United Way. And one of the things that came out of the Population Health Trust first 1,000 days is that there hadn't been one place where parents knew they could go for resources. So, and Jennifer Sass-Walton, who's a public health nurse, had mentioned that she doesn't always have places to do trainings and such for parents. So we're going to host the first Right Beginning Skagit Respite and Resource Center for parents and families in Skagit County. So I'm very excited about that. And we'll be able to host classes I know Dr. Rick Levine, who's a lovely pediatrician in the area, would love to do classes for dads on how to bathe babies and how your relationship might change in the unlikely event that anything changes when you bring a baby home. So, you know, it's just a wonderful opportunity to kind of take what we're doing to the next level as well. And the way, this is also a more secure location. We're kind of taking the lead amongst children's museums in our region. Because we had the opportunity of 15 years under our belt to plan this new location, and having lived through an active shooting situation at the Cascade Mall several years ago. We did have a staff member in the museum when that happened, and I'll be forever grateful that it was actually our auction. We were off-site setting up for the auction that Friday night, decided to hold the auction after calling community leaders the next day to see what to do. And so we stayed closed that day and had somebody come and meet with the staff and such. So it was quite an experience to live through. When you come into this museum, there is now a full locked door. So I know many of you, the first museum is just, you came in through the front doors. And then the next museum, there was a small gate. And this one, there's a locked door. And then there's also a mechanical door, so that if we would hear of any situation, a staff member could step back and hit the button, and that metal door would come down. So it's just interesting to look at how we create safe spaces when we're, you know, we can have upwards of 800 people in a day. So, you know, how do we make sure that we're creating a safe space for them? So that is another piece, which makes me also think about when we do large events. We started a couple of years ago, the City of Burlington Lodging Tax wanted to bring in another event, so they held this special session. I was like, ooh, I got an idea, you know, that I wanted to do for years. So we started this Winter Wonderland event that's held in early December, where we truck in real snow. Last year, a little cumbersome because there was no snow at Mount Baker, so we trucked in real ice. Yeah, so we trucked in like pallets full of cubed ice and built like a luge. And then we had a dump truck full of really finely crushed ice, and it made like a better sledding hill than the snow did. So that worked out well. But we'd have, you know, live reindeer. It takes place over 2.5 years, and it brings in about 8,000 people. So in order for it to be lodging tax funds, we have to do a lot of marketing out of the area, which we do. So we get people coming into the event from all over the region. So it's become a really fun event as well. It takes place about 2.5 days, so it's exciting. What else? So much, yes. So anyway, there is some additional information about all of the different programs and things that we do, and a couple of pictures of the new exhibits that are in the museum. And I think the other thing that's really exciting, we're calling it the Bigger, Better, Brighter campaign, because it literally is bigger and better, and it's brighter. It's so nice to have sunshine, because we were inside a mall all those years. So it's really fun for the preschool classroom to be able to be growing plants and watching them in the windows and such. So it's been wonderful for that, and I'm excited for our future there. We have a 5-year lease in this space with 3 5-year renewals. So the contractor and I were talking the other day, and we figure by the time that's done in 20 years, we might not be on Earth anymore, so somebody else will have to carry it on, yes. But I think it's been a really wonderful location for us, and we're excited. We are just, the other piece that you'll see in there is our Frankie the fire engine. So we have a real working fire engine, which lives at my house a lot, because my husband has a CDL, lucky him. So he gets to frequently drive it. We have some other people that drive it too, but that's been a way for us to go out in the community, not only to fun events. We were at the Touch-a-Truck event here 2 weeks ago, I believe. And we have weeks this summer where we're at 3 different events with it. And so it's a great way for us to take educational opportunities out to people and resources to help extend learning at home. One of the ways that we're doing that is also with Kaleidoscope Play and Learn groups. We have a bunch of people who are trained in that so that they can meet with families and then give resources that parents and caregivers can take home and carry that forward. So, is that enough? Should I continue? I can. Or I can, yes.
We
we have time, you might ask for questions.
Oh, yes. Are there any questions? Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that right beginning? I think I saw they had a booth maybe at the Spotlight.
Yes, we did, absolutely. So, and that is really, it's a partnership between Population Health Trust folks United Way, with their bold goal of having all children, thank you for asking that question, because this is important. 65% of the kids in this county are not ready for kindergarten across all 6 domains. 65%. So that is part of the reason United Way and all of us are pulling together and trying to increase opportunities for kids to be ready. And the best predictor of high school graduation rates is 3rd grade reading skills. The best predictor of 3rd grade reading skills is vocabulary at ages 2 and 3. So, you know, when people say what's the best thing I could do for my child, it's read. Read to them from before they're born. Just that conversation and that talking and the interaction, that is the single best thing you can do, particularly when they're young and all those millions of synapses are connecting and forming in their brains. So, so we're going to have that. We will be, in fact, we just hosted Bridget Collins recently. They came to us and said, hey, we need to do a training, but the parents have to have their kids there. And we don't have room for childcare in our facility in downtown, which is in Mount Vernon, where they typically do most of them. So, so we were able to host that, and there is room. We can use our preschool classroom in the evenings, or in this case, we just used the museum and opened it up to them. So it's wonderful to see how many agencies we can partner with and assist things that are really helping families.
Do you happen to remember when that is? The date?
For the
event in the summer. Is there an event as well?
Oh, for the grand opening of that? No, there is not. I wish I knew. He asks me every day. So our contractor, when the boat comes back in and they build a platform, the way it is, they had to cut it like a 10 by 10 opening in the back of the mall, and there's large garage doors there now, to bring in the boat, the truck, the crane, those other large pieces. So once those are in, then he's going to give us a grand opening date. So that is, I think last night we were jockeying back and forth, and I was like, well, so do you think it'll be, you know, before September? Yeah, so before September. I did get that much. Yeah. So hopefully. Oh, the other exciting thing, which looks like it's going to come through, is we're going to, in addition to having a real boat, a real truck, a real working crane, and a lot of other really cool exhibits, is an airplane. And we are also, one of our staff has a lot of connections in the world of aviation. And we're going to be able to have some kind of cutting edge technology through Microsoft and be a test site for it. So it'll actually be some of it a virtual fly along, but we're also looking at having, a number of years ago, we had a flight simulator in the museum, you know, just on a desktop. And that's when I learned I should never ever fly a plane. Don't ever get in a plane with me. No. I didn't really ever get up in the air, but I was really good at trees and the occasional house. So this is really exciting, and also the Port of Skagit is looking at being a partner with that as well, with their augmented reality goggles, flight goggles, which they had at Spotlight, which were awesome. So, you know, we are trying to do a mixture, though. We have mostly hands-on activities for kids, because that kind of play is how they learn. It's also part of, we have a design, one of the Main Street exhibits is a design firm, and it's really fun. It has funky walls, and it's snowing right now. I love that. We will have a computer in there as well as a real drafting table and drafting tools. So kids will have that experience of either working on a computer in design, which is what's happening in that industry, or they can actually do it by hand. So there will also be a computer most likely in the dental exhibit. You know, so where it makes sense, we will have some technology. Understanding that while most kids do have technology at home, not everyone does. But not in the toddler area, no. No, I think the only time like really young children should have technology is on an airplane, because then anything goes, yes.
Are you generally securing your funding, or is it always a challenge? Or
We don't, well, this year we do because of the relocation campaign. Typically, our annual budget is right around $500,000. And as we have grown our programs, and it's really interesting, one of the pieces in this new location is merchandise. We have a museum store, and we've made it larger in this footprint, and it's doing about 150% what it did in the last store. So that is one of the ways that we augment our earned revenue. We tend to stay right around 65 to 70% earned revenue versus fundraising, which is fairly typical for children's museums. And I think that we've termed ourselves a resilient organization because, you know, we did the build out at the Cascade Mall in 2008, about an hour before the economy crashed. And so we had a $400,000 construction loan that nearly did us in. But thankfully I have a tenacious board, and I was not going to give up because I so believe in what we're doing and what we're offering the community. So we lived through that, and then we got a wonderful opportunity from the Jack and Shirley McIntyre Foundation, and we were able to finalize that construction debt, and I swear it was like 6 weeks later the bridge fell through. So then, you know, there were days when we would make less than $5, so that's cumbersome. And but we survived that. And then we were doing well. We had expanded. According to the Association of Children's Museums, for our size community, we operate best between like 12 and 16,000 square feet. So we are right there right now with this location. But we really did. Our income did much better in 2015 when we did the expansion at the Cascade Mall. However, then the shooting happened, and that was really huge. That had a huge impact on our business. I mean, people just were not coming, and people were very surprised about how they felt about going. So that really impacted our business, yet we persevered, and we have increased our programming. The preschool actually is while it is very affordable, it does produce revenue for us, as well as parties and camps and classes and such. So we have been fortunate. With over 750 nonprofit organizations in this county, I mean, it's amazing the amount of support that goes out from your organization. You know, people ask us, it is an amazing, I've lived in many different states around the nation. That's one of the many things I love about Skagit County. In looking at our grand opening, one of the challenges of living in Skagit County is like, well, we can't do it that weekend because we're at, you know, Anacortes Arts Festival and we're at Lager Rodeo, and you know, so it's interesting. This is such a thriving and busy county, so it's interesting for that. So we have struggled, and we have also persevered, and we've gotten some wonderful support over the years to make that happen. The other thing that will be revenue producing is this event center, and that's part of it. So I'm looking at, you know, how do we continue to grow our revenue producing streams of income. We're not going to have a commercial kitchen. The architects laughed at me. I thought it was a great idea. But we will have we have a kitchen in our party room right now, which is where we also do camps and classes. But we will have a kitchen also in the event space. And for instance, like the dishwasher, we lowered everything to ADA level. We're trying to make this museum that much more accessible in every way. So we lowered that, and then our dishwasher didn't fit. So it's like, oh, good, okay, now we have one for the event center. And the mall had, in one of our storage spaces over there, they had a beautiful commercial refrigerator and freezer that I think had belonged to Bubble Island. And I was like, can we take that? And they were like, okay. So we were able to take that. So we will have facilities in the back for food prep, but it won't be an actual commercial kitchen. Unless there's some grant that's going to come through down the road that I don't know about yet. But apparently commercial kitchens are very expensive. Yes? Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Can we have a pen today?
Yes. There. It's there. Where did it go?
It's somewhere.
There's a restroom off the, in many restrooms in the Children's Museum, but there's one off the party room. And if you want to smile, whether you need to use the restroom or not, open that door. There is a young child's potty, a real toilet, has a tank, has a seat, has its own flush, the whole thing, but it's down on the floor and just, you know, it's the size for a 3-4-year-old. Last night at the event, saw about a 3-year-old climb on it, and she was just so comfortable with her operation, and then I closed the door to have privacy with her mother. But anyway, that makes me smile every time I go in there and open that door. I just have to get a little hint on how cute that is and how they make sure everything is very functional. So every room has a purpose and a purpose that is positive.
Well, thank you for your time dedicated to the organization. It certainly sounds like a great place to be. We do have a gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is a pen from the greatest Rotary Club in the universe.
And I'm going to remember that every time I use it.
All right, we're going to end a little early, so hang out in the park. Leave your bottles on the table, the plastic ones. Phil will pick them up. Thank you, Becky. Tessa, thank you. Tessa for coming. And Pat, thanks once again for supporting us. With that, we are adjourned.